In this module for printing, I wanted to lead you through some simple reports and the process to print. The first thing I want to lead you to is Print Setup Menu Item. What you want to do is select your printer. This can be a paper printer or a PDF type of printer. Your paper size is always letter. Your orientation is landscape. You go to Properties, Color, Advanced, and go to some place where scaling shows, and then scale at 66%. And then the report should fit just fine on a page. Reports are up here, or accessed from up here. If you look at this menu, you see queried reports, 4-part, financial reports, metric reports, and utility functions and reports. Let's take a look at a project report. And here comes what's called a view index. And what you do here is select which project you want to use, and I'll take CO2. And then you click the paste button. When you're in the more advanced mode, there are things called related projects, and in this case I'm going to say no because I haven't really described it to you yet. And here's the project report. It comes up very quickly. Up here is where you close the report window. Here you have the record count, how many records are in here. This is the title of the report, filtered for project CO2 and sorted by WBS element and site. Some reports give you a button to do a custom sort. Here is your sort. You choose your sort order. Here are your fields that you can use, and you can move over, and then you can sort. You see that the information is for each activity is on 2 rows, and that just allows the page not to run out totally to the right. The first is your activity ID, which is a serial number for your activity. And to the left of that is a black bar, and this black bar indicates that you selected that activity. So if I click in here, you see this moves on over, and so forth. Now if I click in the ID, this will take me back to the activity entry panel for that activity. Here it is, record ID 1702. And then I can go right back to previous window. You can edit a number of the fields in here. You can change priority. Of course, it won't let you because it's a calculated field. You can change the due date. You can change the project manager. Here's your activity, which you can edit, and here are your notes. The usefulness of this is reports like this is you can print it out or just look at the screen with a colleague and just review activities that they're interested in, edit them here, then print out a copy or give them a PDF. Go to the right, you have a scroll key. It scrolls on down to the bottom, and I've already shown you that there are 38 activities in here, so you know how far down it goes. The black area at the bottom is the footer. This does not show on a printed report, but this is common to all the reports you have. You can select an activity here and then click this, and then actually ask you if you want to delete the record. Well, I'm going to hit cancel. This is your print key, and you click this and it will come up with a print dialog. We won't go forward with that. If you want to take this data and export it to an XLS file, Excel file, this will do it by clicking this button. These red buttons will take you back to activity entry, financial entry, whatever the previous window was. This allows you to add a new activity. I'll click it. And there you go. You have a new record. It's blank, and you can fill it all in. You can hit refresh report and get the report to rerun. And it will also resort it for you as well. The update will take any changes you make to an activity, and if you see the dashed lines around some of these fields, that means this is still in the edit mode. You can hit update and it will close that record for editing. Now if you forget to do that, when you leave this window and go to another window, The program automatically will do that for you, but if it doesn't move to the next window that you indicate, then you need to come down and hit the update. You go over here, and this is how you can select how many completed activities you want to see. Right now I have this at hidden, and that means that you just see activities that haven't yet been done. To show some more activities, let's say we want to show all activities completed for this project. You hit show all, go to refresh report, and then completed activities will appear, and they are dimmed out a little bit so you can easily find which ones are done. And you have the option also for showing after a certain date. You can show them here. This is very old, but this is just for examples. You pick a date, and when you change the date, it will automatically rerun for you and expand how many completed activities you have. Let's go back to activity entry, and that's the general nature of a report. So let me just describe more of these queried reports. You can run them for a WBS element, the employee responsible, the project, the site, and this one's a special one. Creation date is today. This is where you added or edited an activity today. And I'll hit that one. We haven't edited any activities. We created a blank one and deleted it, but that doesn't count. So I'll go to the previous window and go back up to the menus. A 4-part report is a report that's good for client reviews. I'll show you what this looks like, and we'll pick CO2 again as the project. This will ask you if you want to add the related project, and this time I'll say yes. And it asks if you want to sort by site or by WBS element, and I'll choose WBS element. And here's your report. It's in 4 parts. You have an all activities, due in 2 weeks, late activities panel, and recently completed. A good way to conduct a client meeting is to start with this one, which gives people a bit of a lift that things got done since the last report. You've been managing your details. Then you look at the late ones and find out what correction action has to be done. This one would be activities due in 2 weeks. In this particular project, since this is an example, there's nothing within a 2-week date of today. And for reference, all the activities that you saw in the previous will show up here. You have the same footer, you have the record count, you have a little legend here for DUD and DDE. This means days until due and days done early, and that really pertains to this right here where you keep track of that information. The header shows what projects you're looking at and shows you how you sorted them. And you could print this out as well by selecting the panel you want to look at and print it. And when you're done, you hit this X over here and all 4 parts will close. There's another 4-part for all activities. Let's look at a financial report. Let's look at selected payee, which says what is the status of work that you plan to have this person do and you've budgeted, and work that you have already issued purchase orders to. Let me pick one out of here. And I'm going to say show all to these criterion. This is show just uncommitted POCOs. These would be those that you have budgeted but you have not yet converted. But we're going to show all of them. Suppress owner contingency. If there is an owner contingency account, you can have those activities suppressed so you're only budgeting or looking at budgets for your project which has a bottom line you are responsible for. So I'll show it for this example. And here's the report. You go up here. The title is Budget Activities for Payee Hudson. And the selections that we made in the windows are here. Approved and uncommitted purchase orders. All funding sources. And the way this thing is sorted is by project. I'm looking right here. So this particular project is Charm City Phase 2. There are two activities which have budgets in them. And here you can see it says approved and committed. Here's one that's a budget that you've approved, but it's not yet committed yet. The amount of money that's pending approval, the amount of money that you've assigned to risk, and the sum of this is the estimate to complete impact to your project. So it says that you have $6,000 of change orders that you've approved that are expected to hit your project. Over to the right, I show how much you've not approved or disapproved, those that you really haven't decided what to do, and the actual cost variance, which is the difference between your committed cost and the budgeted costs, which back on the financial entry page, as you recall, I showed you that for a budget, when you start putting in a change order, you put a budgeted cost, and when you commit, you can put in a committed cost, but you can also change it for some reason. Say the number changed. You can do this, and let's go back to the show current report, and you see that right up here, this 3,000 changed to 5,000, and now your estimate to complete impact is 8,000, and your cost variance is $2,000 in the red because you're expecting to spend more than you had budgeted. And this repeats for other projects that have been assigned to Hudson. And I'll just scroll on down here to the very end. In the very end, we have a grand total section which takes the fields for each project, adds them all up, and gives you a total impact, estimate to complete impact. Actually, it's to this payee. In other words, there's $19,000 of change orders for this person, and that's $5,900 more than you had budgeted for change orders for this person. Close it. And here you look at project CO2, and if there's a related project with CO2, then that's shown as well. Here you have the cost for this particular project, and how this is sorted or grouped is by the account which funds these change orders. So your book budget is change of scope that actually is funded by your project. It was really part of the base scope. It's not a change order per se. Then the next category is things that the owner wanted you to do. That's owner contingency. And if I continue on down is change orders that have gone against project contingency for this project. And then the grand total for this project is down here. You've added $46,000, at least you've approved budgets for change orders. Go back to the menu, metric reports. This actually gives date performance of people who've been assigned activities. So to the left you see, and these are the people who have been assigned employee responsible for your activities. This is the total due, how many activities that these people have due. Anderson has 2. The number of activities due within 2 weeks, the number due farther out than 2 weeks, the total completed, and the average amount of days completed early. People with the higher numbers are getting their activities done faster, and those that have negative numbers are falling behind. And if you allow me to scroll going to the bottom, here's your total activities, the number of activities in each time category. Now at the bottom there is a place where you can count only the A priority activities or not. And here we decided no, we wanted to count the status of all. But if you're looking for the key activities and how people are doing for the very important ones, you click yes, and this lights up to indicate it's there, and there should be a fewer number of them. As you can see, there's 60 total A priority activities, and this arranges the metrics for that. That was back to activity entry. Utility functions and reports. Export, save a copy of data. What this will do is there are 4 text files which hold the 4 databases, and this will save a copy of the data into that. And exporting completed, it's done. Now, when you shut down the program, as you know, you are prompted to do this. But if you want to do it in the middle for some reason of your running, then that's what you can do. Import all data. This will take the data from those files and bring them in here and erase whatever data you had in the program and replace it with what was in the files. And I click that, wait for it all to come in, and it will tell you all files imported from folder maintenance. Alright, net maintenance is the folder in which the 4 files are kept. You would do that, for instance, if I give you an updated version of Program Leader, and of course it won't have activities, and you want to pull your existing activities in, this is how you would do it. And I also just provide the function in case for some reason there's a need to import the data. A useful one is activities without relations. What this report does, it shows you when you haven't entered a related record to what you've entered in an activity record. An example here, ID 1823, you see the yellow. It indicates that no project is assigned to the activity. Well, maybe you intend to assign a project, but you rushed and you didn't, and that's fine. But here you are alerted. And likewise here for WBS, this person didn't put it in, and you did enter in a person to do the activity. So we look here, it'll come on back and show you that there's nobody entered there. This one, you have a project identified, and it's the WBS is obtained books. But Hopscotch is red because there's no supervisor associated with Hopscotch. And that's actually an employee name. Now, whenever this happens, when you don't have the association, you are alerted as soon as that happens with this button that comes up in Fuchsia. It asks you to make a supervisory record, and below here there are 2 other buttons that will appear if you really need to add a project name or WBS element to complete the activity. So if you click Make Supervisor Record, it'll come over here, copy an employee responsible for you, and you choose a supervisor name. Let's say the person is black. Functional business unit is actually going to be someone within your company. Now let's change that. Let's make this a subcontractor. And the subcontractor's name is going to be called, let's call it Server Creek. Let's say that's Hopscotch works for Server Creek and they're a subcontractor. The update key says, please strike me. You hit that and you are taken back to the activity from which it came. The button disappears. Now let's go back to the previous window. Would not be the right one to use, I don't think, but Show Current Report would get you back here. So here you see Hopscotch is no longer in red, and we could do the same thing with this as well. This is actually the edit I did and changed my last name. If we want to go back and change this back here, you notice there is a supervisor for MDR, and so that goes away. Let's go back to activity entry. Reconnect related records. Your computer might shut down in the middle of operating, and this reconnect related records will go through and make sure that all links are put in. You might have names there, but the program has to actually link them, and this makes sure they're all there. You can go to your current report by just clicking this. This button is always present on the main panels. And the name of the current report is right down here, Activities Without Relations. And you can refresh the report after doing edits by clicking this, and it will take you back, and the activities that we fixed are gone, and the one that still has this lacking is still here. And that is the presentation for the basic reports. Oh, one thing I do want to say also is when you run a report, let's go back to a project report. This was the first example I showed you. Let's go to activity entry. The same activities in the report are the ones that are selected here for scrolling. There are 77 activities to scroll through. This group of 77 is named up here. Filter for project CO2, sorted by WBS element and site. That's exactly the same as the report you just ran. Current report run. will select the activities that are available for instant scrolling. Now, if you want to go and look at all activities, fine. Just press the button and they all come. But your report is still the report of what it was before. Have a good evening. Thank you.